Hi, I'm Gia Mills, and for the past 20 years, I have been a celebrity makeup artist. I'm also the founder of a cosmetics brand, Skin in Motion, and I am fascinated by the politics of beauty and the incredible power of makeup. On True Reflections, you get a chance to peek behind the curtain and find out what your favourite celebrity really feels when the glare of the media is upon them. And who is with me today? Joining me today, my guest has been a faithful, an ice skater, and a model. So, to tell her beauty journey, I am delighted to welcome to True Reflections, Mollie Pearce.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming on. I have just loved you. I first discovered you on the Traitors, and you were this sort of wonderful, sort of angelic, gorgeous girl amongst all these sort of Machiavellian, scheming people, and you just sort of stood out this sort of shining light of sort of like joy and happiness, and everyone else in the background with them doing their thing. And the other reason that I think you brilliantly come into the forefront in the media is two areas of your sort of physical aspects that you've really kind of normalized. One being born without fingers, and the other that you have a stoma. And just this wonderful way you've just normalized it, and it's a beautiful thing, and I want to dig deeper into that. But first of all, my question, because we are talking beauty, is tell me, when you were younger, what did beauty look like? Who did you want to look like?
I think it's such a difficult one, and I think it's kind of changed over the years. I think especially when, we're in secondary school and you start getting into makeup, it was very much a time where it was like heavy makeup, thick brows. I went for a stage where I had some big brows.
What did you sort of paint them on with?
Yeah, like drew them on, but they just looked so silly, but everyone had them, and I think it was like such a trend. And I think that was, when kind of like Snapchat filters were in, and you were getting all these kind of filters and you were trying to make yourself look like them, and we had all this heavy makeup on. And now I feel like that's changed again, and it's all a bit more natural now. You have that clean girl aesthetic that a lot of people go for.
Who are the people that sort of spearhead that? Who do you think people look to, the younger generation are looking to? Because I feel that it's like Hailey Bieber and people like that seem to be the ones that everyone's kind of aspiring to.
I think especially when it comes to the clean girl aesthetic, it's definitely like Hailey Bieber. I don't know if going back to when it was kind of heavier, maybe the Kardashians. I never actually watched the Kardashians, but I think potentially that's where I could see it coming from. But I think it was just a lot to do with social media and stuff. We were seeing things everywhere. It was so like accessible to see all these people, and you kind of idolise them.
Because it would show you how to do it as well. Because when I was younger, we didn't have social media. You had a magazine, and you'd see your favourite pop star, and you go, oh, but we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know how to create that look.
I mean, neither did I, to be completely honest. I could have followed it, and I still would have been, still didn't look great. But
at least what's great is you've got those sort of how-tos and stuff. And how did you feel about your appearance when you were at school? What did you feel about yourself, and how because there's probably different things when you're a teenager in different journeys you go on.
I think for me it was like very up and down. I mean, obviously I had ulcerative colitis, and I used to be on steroids quite a lot. And one of the side effects of steroids is like this they call it like a moon face, and your face just like swells up. And I remember that making me feel really self-conscious. You kind of just literally balloon, and there's nothing you can do about it. It just is one of the side effects. And I think I started secondary school and I was on like a really high dose of steroids. So I just felt not very confident in myself at that point. And they kind of knocked my confidence quite often, because I'd kind of be on them, I would say like every 6 months to a year, I'd have a flare up and I'd be put on steroids. And that was probably when I reached for more makeup, because, you're trying to contour your face. So
what's your biggest makeup fails when you were younger at that age?
Oh God, definitely eyebrows. I mean, I remember one time I went into Bristol, and they have like the pop-up stands when you go to like Boots or something like that. And this woman was like, "Can I do your eyebrows?" I was like, "Of course." I thought, great. Oh my goodness, I was horrified. Like, they were huge. Like, we're talking like half my forehead was my eyebrows. And my friend,
what did she do?
I don't know, because I obviously couldn't see. I was just led back relaxing, and like I opened my eyes and I could see my friend. She was looking at me kind of like, and I was like, oh no. So we had to like run to one of the shops to get some makeup remover. But
So there was you, there was, if anyone had been in Bristol at that time, this weird girl walking past with crazy brows.
Yeah.
That's you.
I'm surprised there's not a photo of it online somewhere.
Shame
because,
there's
it
not.
was terrible.
I'd love to.
It was terrible.
I should actually do that, get people to come in with photographs of their biggest makeup fails to show us, and we can kind of put them on the sort of visual recording, because it would be absolutely hilarious to kind of, I'm very happy to share all my makeup fails, although I was sort of there wasn't as much available makeup available back in the day. But tell me, from a confidence point of view, obviously with your hand, talk to me, did that have an effect, or it was so normal for you, that wasn't the part that would make you feel uncomfortable?
I mean, I had my moments, but overall, like, it wasn't really something I thought about that much. I think because I came from like quite a small village, you kind of know everyone and you grow up with them. So that didn't really bother me. I think there is that aspect of going up to secondary school that's a bit nerve-wracking anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of slightly added to it. But I felt like once I got to know everyone, it was never really an issue for me. I had like a really good group of friends who, if anyone said anything, they were kind
really
of
protective.
Yeah, and I had an older brother as well, which was really helpful when it came to that kind of thing. And I think for me, the main point when I was a little bit self-conscious with my hand, I can't say it's ever been a massive problem for me, like a little bit self-conscious, was when we started like going to parties with other schools and started like mingling like that, and people didn't know. And like that made me anxious, because at that point I wasn't posting it on social media or anything. I probably made a bit of a thing to hide it.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because obviously, like I said, it's never massively affected me, but I guess it was just something I always did and I didn't even think about it.
I think it's interesting, because I think society has this sort of set image of what normal looks like. And if you deviate from that in any way, I think you feel pressure no matter what it is. I was quite hairy, didn't have, various things that I was self-conscious of growing up, and I didn't feel I fitted the norm of what the perfection was. And I think anybody feels uncomfortable with that if they're not hitting the norm. But it's great. What I love is that nowadays I think there's so much more acceptance, and young kids, because that's where it's really difficult. I imagine young teens, young kids are much meaner to each other. But now I think if there's this sort of normalisation, people are really shamed for criticising.
I agree, and I think we're seeing people like who are different on our TVs all the time and on social media, that it is normalised now, like, because we're seeing it so much, it's becoming way more normal. Whereas I think before, like I said, I didn't post my hands, so people wouldn't have even known that. And I think it was much more hidden then, and we would used to like try hide our insecurities. Well, whereas now I think on the good side of social media, people are definitely trying to normalise them, and
media and TV and stuff, they're just doing a really good job. And I think that is great, because it filters down to the younger generation, so that people coming up don't feel so like, oh, I can't look like that, or this isn't how I should be looking. Society is so unforgiving. And I love the fact how you have also, going on Traitors was such a brilliant thing, because it's a great platform to show other women, other girls, actually, if I have got some sort of, condition, it's like, just own it. And this sort of your beauty just comes out, and it's just like, God, ignore all that sort of stuff. And I love what you did on
Thank you. I think the Traitors was so lovely, because it wasn't about that. Like, I was just there playing the game along with everyone else, making the money and the challenges along with everyone else. But I did have, these disabilities, and but it wasn't about that, if that makes sense. And I just think that was really lovely, because it was a nice way to spread that awareness, but not in your face kind of way. It was more of a,
it was like okay, that's interesting, rather than I think, but that's, society is really seems to be brilliantly changing in that way at the moment. Because the other thing you talked about was the fact that you have a stoma, which again, I think Louise Thompson also has one as well, and how you two have almost, dare I say, sort of not slightly glamorized it. It's like what your perception of that is so different, because you guys have just gone, that's no big deal.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's taken me time to get here. I think for me, like, I was just so poorly for so long that when I had my stoma and I started to feel better, I was like, as if I was so petrified of this thing, when it's literally given me life back. It's made me feel healthy again. I can go out and do all these things. I could go film the Traitors. I never would have been able to do that before. So for me, it was kind of like, why is this a bad thing in so many people's minds? Because it was for me, like, before I actually had my surgery, I was like, couldn't think of anything worse, basically.
Yeah.
So having that switch.
What was the journey that got you to be that? How old were you when that happened?
When I had my surgery.
Yeah.
So I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis when I was 11, and then I had my surgery when I was 18. So I was poorly for about 7 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, quite unwell as well at times, like missing school, and I had a lot of anxiety around the toilet, because obviously with ulcerative colitis, sometimes you are reliant on needing the toilet.
Yeah.
And I think that just completely controlled my life. And sometimes, like, I wouldn't even leave the house because I was so anxious about that not being around a loo or anything like that. So I think once I had my surgery, I struggled to begin with. I think, like, definitely when I first woke up, I couldn't really even look at it for a while.
You're 18, and
yeah,
it's like,
it was scary.
you know, all your mates, and you know, it gives you a point of you're different. It's a difference.
It is, and I think
it's coming to terms with that.
It's also to do with your bowels, which people don't like to speak about. Like, just an added taboo on top of that, it's to do with poo, and people don't want to speak about poo.
Yeah.
So as an 18-year-old, you kind of think, like, I'm never going to get a boyfriend again, like, no one's going to fancy me. Like, even like intimacy, you just think that's off the cards. I thought I would never be able to wear what I want fashion wise, and I was going to have to wear like old people's clothes, and I don't know, my concept of it was so different than it is now. My thought was, this is the worst thing ever. And then I think when it actually happened, and I started to like get my strength back, and I started to enjoy eating food and
feel better.
I wasn't anxious when I was leaving the house because I didn't need to rush to the loo, and all these positives started to come into play. And I remember like putting jeans on for the first time and being like, I never thought I'd be able to wear jeans again. And I want to change that for everyone else. I don't want anyone else who's about to go through surgery to have all these fears, because I don't really know where they come from. It's kind of like we've not spoken about it enough, so it's just this horrible thing, when in reality it actually has been the best thing I've ever done.
Well, that's why I love you coming on today, because it's another place that you can talk about it and make it not a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's so brilliant that you probably, it wasn't a conscious thing to use the Traitors as a place that you could talk about it, but it just means you can just say to, you know, girls who, you know, who might have to have it, you can still be gorgeous, you can still wear the clothes,
Of course.
do all the stuff.
Even men, like literally anyone. I think it's just been such a taboo subject for so long. And my mum is a hairdresser, and she's got a lot of like older customers, and like when she tells them, their reaction to her stoma bag is so different to like the younger generation. I guess because when they were growing up, it wasn't spoken about, and if you had it, it was kind of like, oh gosh, that's terrible. Whereas we've come so far with even like stoma products, with like bags and everything, that things are different now. So it's just interesting hearing their opinion on it, because I suppose they weren't as exposed to it as we are now. They didn't know as much.
But that's because people like you and everyone is sort of normalizing all these things.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing, you know, you kind of asked the intimacy thing with guys. How was that early on, when you kind of, the first few times you kind of got to know guys and what have you? How did that all pan out for you?
It's obviously a bit scary, but I think when you become single, that kind of thing can be a bit scary anyway, can't it? At the best of times. And I think it's kind of just a thing of when you're ready to talk about it. And my mum has always said, even from a young age, like with my hand, that if someone doesn't like you because of that, then they're not worth your time anyway. So you basically are getting rid of all the red flags before you even allow them into your life like that. So in a way, it's kind of like a head start on it.
Yeah.
You
get to filter through to get to the genuine, decent people.
This is it. This is it. And I think that's kind of how I looked at it. And I've been very lucky. Like, you know, my ex-partner, he was so amazing about it. He knew everything about my stoma, and he would be able to change it and everything like that. And yeah, he really helped me accept it as well, for sure. So yeah, I think having someone like that is obviously lovely, but at the end of the day, you just need to remember that just because you have a stoma bag doesn't mean you can't be intimate. As long as you're doing it with someone who makes you feel confident, then go for it.
Love it, love it. And I think the other thing love asking my people that come on this, because there's the sort of the serious things we talk about, but also I love asking about the makeup stuff, because
Of course.
you just have this lovely radiance, this gorgeousness, and I just want to know what your favorite products are, what you like using, what tell me your go-to absolute faves that you love to use.
I really love, like, base wise, I really love the Bobbi Brown foundation.
Yeah.
I think it's really quite light. It's not too thick.
Yeah, she's very clever, Bobbi Brown.
Yes.
on her formulations.
Because it's the cream as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Oh, the face cream.
Yes.
The vitamin enriched one.
Love
Do you know you're the third person who said that they love that?
Really?
Because apparently it is skincare for makeup, because it's like a primer. It's really hydrating. But why? What makes you love it so much?
See, I've never really been a primer person. Like, I like makeup, but I'm not very good at it. I would say, like, it never was something I really went into and kind of got really good at. Like, one of my friends is amazing at makeup, and I always look at her and I think, how have you done that? I just like how it feels on my skin, and I've had quite acne prone skin for the last couple of years. Probably since after my surgery, believe it or not. I think all my hormones kind of came into play once I became like healthier and
Probably the surge.
Yeah, it literally was.
Yeah.
And, I've really struggled with my skin, so finding things that like don't break it out is really important, and then them two products seem to be really good.
Well, that's brilliant. It's nice. It is nice finding stuff, and actually your skin looks really radiant. And I think that what I love as a makeup artist, I love making people look fresh and seeing skin and having that glow.
Yes.
Because it just makes it's youthful and it's just juicy and fresh.
Yeah.
You've picked well. I love how you've got that just dewy, glowy.
Well, much. It means a lot coming from a makeup artist. That's really lovely. I think I love blush as well.
Yeah.
Because I think for a long time we all kind of like steered away from blush, whereas now it'd be like one of my go-to that I was going to pick up if I wasn't putting much makeup on.
Which are your favourite blushes you're using?
I really love the NARS liquid blush in the shade of Orgasm. I think
Orgasm.
It's really pretty.
Again, that's the one that everyone repeatedly says. The Orgasm. I caught telly on an ad, and I can see if someone's been at Orgasm, because it's got such a orangey, pinky.
It's got a nice glow, I think, as well, and it's quite thin. So I really.
You got that one on today.
I do indeed.
And I love how, if you can't see from if someone's listening to this, you've got a kind of moon shape of your blusher. I love it how it goes up to sort of the edge of your brows, and it just looks lovely because again, it's that freshness.
I have to speak to you more often about this. You make me feel really good about it.
Kind of goes, where do I put blush? And so I think it's lovely to sort of try different places.
I think everyone's face is different with makeup. Like, that is the thing, isn't it? It's finding what works for you. And like I said, I'm not the best at makeup, so I've probably not been that experimental in my life. I've kind of found something that I like, and because I've been a bit nervous that other things might break my skin out, I kind of stick to it. But I think once you find a product that you love, like, you can kind of stick by it, can't you? And you know it's going to make you feel good.
Because once it is in your kit, or rather when it's in my makeup kit, a product, I'm like, that is in there. Yeah. I've really liked it, and I've vetted it, and I've tried, there's lots of things that we sort of trial out. And once you find that thing, it's quite immovable. We're like, no, I can't possibly try a new product. And then you sometimes do, and you slightly move away, but you feel really loyal and sort of like, that's mine.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree.
It's funny as women on that. So those are the blusher, the using the Bobbi Brown foundation and the Bobbi Brown vitamin. I love that. That's good. So did you wear that when you were on the Traitors? What did you wear when you were on the show?
I think I was wearing the NARS foundation then.
Okay.
Because I basically had a really bad acne flare-up just before I went on the Traitors.
Oh, no.
And I remember like saying to my mum, I don't even want to go on the show because I don't want to go on like this. So I went to Debenhams in Bristol, and I was like talking to all these makeup artists at the different stalls and stuff, and I was like, I need to find something that's going to make me feel confident, of course, because you know you're going to be on camera and
watched by because the previous show was so popular, it's like even more people are tuning in.
It's just for yourself as well. I think for me, like, sometimes when I had a really bad acne flare up, I could go into myself, and it made me quite shy at times, because I guess I just felt embarrassed really speaking to people, and I'd even avoid people in the shop sometimes if I saw them, which is so sad. But
you'd avoid people if you saw people if you're acne.
Yeah, because I just felt so like everyone was looking at it, and they're not, and you know they're not. But I think for you, sometimes when you have a really bad flare up, I would just like go into myself so much. And
if you're going on telly, the last thing you want to do, if you're building a character and you can't be thinking about that whilst you're trying to, first of all, play the game.
Yes, this is it. And also, you know, you need to get to know these people. You need to be chatting to them. So I wanted to not be worried about that. That was not my main problem in that game. Do you know what I mean? That couldn't be my main focus. So I remember going to the shops, and then I used I can't remember which one it's called. It's like the taller bottle.
Yeah.
The NARS
one.
Yeah, the NARS Foundation. And that,
that worked.
Yeah, I really liked that. And I still sometimes go back to it. For some reason, I see it more as like a winter foundation than a
different
summer.
times of year. You need different coverage. Because do they, on the Traitors, give you any pointers? Do they give you any budget? I mean, how does it work? Like clothes, etc.
No, it's just all yours. Like, I went panic shopping just before, and we thought it was going to be freezing because it's Scotland and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't meant to be great. And then we had that heat wave. All I had was like knitted jumpers with me. I was so sweaty like all the time.
Could you go shopping, or could you get someone to go shopping?
No, but yeah, it's kind of just completely you, which I think is so nice about the show, because that's why it does so well, because everyone's really individual. There's lots of different characters, everyone comes from different backgrounds, and I think there's always someone on that show you can relate to, because there's just such a mix of people, and like I said, we're all just being ourselves. We don't have any tips, we don't have anyone helping us with our wardrobe. That is us.
And what I'm fascinated about is when you're in the round table, is it really stressful? I'd had to ask because I just love the show.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there, because it's like, how can it be so stressful? But how does it feel?
I was very lucky that I never really had any heat on me. But even just being in the environment, you know, the song they played before, the Hunger Games song, it was.
Can they play that? You can hear that as well.
We hear it every time we sit at the table. So even when you guys don't hear it, every time we hear it before a round table, it's like gives you shivers. If I hear it now, I'm sat there like, oh, the PTSD is coming back.
Oh my gosh.
But it is stressful. I think because you become really close with these people and you build these like really strong friendships and connections, and then suddenly they're arguing. Like, even if it's not you see these people who are really good friends and they've got a lot of respect for each other, and then they're like going down, like jumping down each other's throats, and it's like, whoa, things can switch up so quickly. And I think it's like the guilt of getting it wrong and sending someone home. Yeah. So it's like a lot of pressure, it feels like.
But they build that up, I guess, the TV show, the producers and stuff build that up so that you're extra, the stress levels are even heightened, and they'll sort of, you know how to manage you all to make good telly.
I would personally say it's worse than it comes across on TV.
Oh, really?
It's more stressful, yeah. And because it's longer, we're there for a long time. So these conversations are happening for hours sometimes, you know, and it's a lot, and we spend a lot of time together that you don't see, so we're all a lot closer than everyone thinks. I think that's the thing that people don't understand, is like, we are so close because we've just been together in this bubble. You don't have any contact with anyone else. Of course you're going to form friendships that are really strong because it's not normal life.
And you're going to be moving in with one of your mates as well.
I am, Jasmine, yeah. We just formed the best friendship. It wasn't really shown on our series. I don't know how they found clips of us apart. We've always said this, like, we're never really together in the show, but we were joined at the hip, so I don't really know how they did that.
They're very good. They're very good at the editing.
We were, really close, and ever since we've just been really, really good friends. And
I love that.
Decided to move in together in London.
And
hopefully,
fingers
crossed.
Let us know where you go. From Traitors, you then went to go on Dancing on Ice.
Yes.
And how was that journey?
I mean, obviously a lot more glitz and glam here that we can go into, but yeah, it looks very glamorous, but actually it was really tricky. Like, it was a hard, I mean, so physical, but I absolutely loved it, don't get me wrong. One of the best experiences of my life, but just so physical. And I don't think you can ever prepare yourself for like how physical that's going to be.
Yeah. But it does seem it's been marred in like quite a lot of controversy. It always seems to kind of, because if you hurt yourself, you really hurt yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I fractured my wrist before I even met Colin, which was my skating partner. Yeah. I was training with my local coach, and I fractured my wrist.
And did you worry with the stoma that might? How do you protect that that's not going to kind of, Do
you know what? I don't really even think about it anymore. I think it's just become such a part of me. The only thing I was worried about was with the live shows was because I empty my bag because I've got an ileostomy, and I was just like, as long as it's empty before I go on, it'll be fine. Just because of lifts, like you wouldn't want a full bag when doing lifts. Let me tell you that much, because that would not end well for anyone. But it was just more like a bit of nervousness, I guess, around the live shows, because you can't just pop off to go to the loo. Like everything needs to run smoothly, obviously. But he was very well behaved, believe it or not. Yeah,
you got a
I
name?
think Sid. Yeah, Sid.
Okay.
I think there was only one time where me and Colin were doing like a roll up, where you kind of like roll up onto his shoulder, and it was just because I didn't have leggings on that day. I had trackies on, and the bag kind of got caught and like nearly ripped off. It didn't, but almost. But other than that, like we communicated really well, and like me and Colin, and we just kind of overcame all these things.
Well, I love your attitude on all of these things, and now the show's cancelled, I gather.
I've heard. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but yeah, it's a shame because it's such an amazing show. I mean, I'm very glad I got to be part of it, that's for sure. But yeah, it's an incredible show. So who knows? You never know. It could come back one day.
Well, yeah, it would be lovely, and you did well in it. Were you pleased that you kind of managed to get where you got to?
Happy to get through the first week, I'll be honest. Yeah, it was. I was really happy.
I think it's brutal. Was it fun doing all the glam bit as well? Did you have like makeup artists backstage and everything?
Yes, you have like an amazing team backstage, and they are so good at what they did. I think for me, I was always a bit like nervous because you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I think like giving that control over to someone is something that I've not done that much of, because I normally like always did my own makeup and stuff, like we said about the Traitors, that's all you. So then suddenly going in somewhere and being like, what are you doing to me today? And like not actually having a clue. It was,
Did you brief them a little bit and go, oh, not so much, but...
Oh yeah, we definitely communicated, and they always ended up, you know, pulling through and doing a great job. And obviously there's all these different themes. So I think some weeks I would look at myself and be like, I don't even know who that is. But it was amazing what they did.
Clever.
It was so clever.
And also when you're on, number one, you're sweating and you're moving around. So there's a lot of exercise. So they have to make sure it doesn't all melt off.
It's the hair as well.
And so a lot of hairspray.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot.
I mean, I don't do so much hair, but makeup, I know I'd just be like, oh my God, it's got to stay, and like lashes, etc. And when you're on the TV camera, they have to put extra on.
Yes.
So when you look in the mirror, you'll be like, that's ridiculous. And lots of people, when I've shot people for like lots of lighting, you have to put extra amounts on. They're like, I look like I've got this is way too much makeup.
It looks great, yeah.
When you're on telly, it's like, no, you have to do that because the lights will bleach it out, and you have to have extra. So this is your telly makeup versus your everyday makeup. There's two very different things.
No, definitely. And like sometimes on a Sunday, obviously the show wasn't live until 6:30. I was in glam at 8 in the morning.
Really?
So you're getting your full face of makeup on at 8 in the morning, and my makeup artist was incredible. Like we got on so well, and I've definitely used her again, like for other things. We got on really, really well, and yeah, and it lasts all day. And then you watch yourself on TV at 6:30 at night, and you think, I've had this makeup on for so long, and it still looks incredible. Like how they do it.
I want to know what they're doing.
Talented.
It's good. It is. When you're on jobs with other makeup artists, you're always like, oh, what are you doing? Well, how do you do that? Or why do you do that? And it's literally like girls in a sweetie shop with beauty. But just, finishing up, I would love to know kind of how you see beauty now in society and things moving forward. You've touched on it a bit, but how do you see beauty? Because I see this gorgeous young girl full of sort of glowing, sparkly eyes, just gorgeous. How do you see the future of beauty? And
I think that it's really changing, and I think that we're finding beauty now in like individuality, and I think that is the best thing, because like we were talking about earlier, I think we have gone through stages where we all want to look the same, and we're doing our brows and we're doing our makeup the same, whereas now I feel like there's just so many different types of beauty. And that's what I love about it. I love when someone embraces their differences, and I think it's the confidence in people. Like when they feel good, you feel that from them.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. I think as long as someone feels beautiful in themselves and are doing what makes them happy and what makes them feel confident, that like radiates off someone straight away.
Society is now allowing people to be more themselves as well, because it used to be very strict. I've done loads of research into kind of how society norms what you had to do historically to look a certain way, because it's often tribal, because it's, you know, social media when you're younger, it's like, oh, all the girls are looking like that, I have to look like that. But now there seems to be more permission to be, look how you feel you want to look.
I agree, and I think there's like different sides of social media. I think it can be a really negative place, don't get me wrong, but I do think social media can be one of the most incredible places and one of the most friendly, and like, you find your people and you feel safe, if that makes sense. And I think that is the beauty of social media. We just need to keep it on that road instead of the negative one, because obviously you get the trolls and everything like that, and that's not nice. And there is obviously some unrealistic expectations sometimes, I think, when we're on social media and stuff like that. But if you find them accounts that are spreading that positivity, you know, they're being themselves, and
warts and all, just being real.
Yeah, and we're talking about that now on social media, which I think so like special and so important. It's really, really good.
We haven't got the mask, we're just like taking it off, going, this is me, and accept it. And as you say, I think the beautiful thing, I'm all about the energy from inside. When that comes out, we're not like static images, we are human beings. And when the energy of someone who feels good in themselves, even if they don't hit the standards, that is beauty, that is attractiveness.
Of course it is. I think, you know, some people can walk in a room and they just like light it up, don't they? Just from like how they are. Like some people are so bubbly, and like I think that's so beautiful sometimes when someone like walks in a room and like got a really bubbly personality. And like some people just like a bright light is how you can explain them, can't you? And like I think that is so beautiful. But I don't think I have like an image of beauty anymore. I think I used to probably, but I think it's definitely changing all the time now. And it's, you know, seeing that beauty in everyone. And everyone is individual, and that's what makes them beautiful, I think.
Yeah. And I think you shine a light, and you have a beautiful, just this light. And I love how you've used your, you know, the publicity to send this message, and so that you know, other girls can kind of have that energy and be a sort of this lovely light that you have. So
thank you very much. Well, hopefully let's keep it going. I think we need to just keep pushing on that, and with all these different types of things, with anyone who feels a little bit different, it's nice for them to have someone to relate to, I suppose, and just to feel accepted.
A massive thank you to Mollie Pearce. That is it for True Reflections this week. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. You can find me across your social media by searching at True Reflections Podcast. You can also explore Skin and Motion cosmetics range to help you boost your confidence at skin.in.motion on your social media. I will be back next week with another celebrity to talk through their beauty experiences, their favourite products, and delve deeper into how the ideals of beauty shapes not just our physical appearance, but the core of our identities. Until then, have a lovely week.